It begins as so many dark tales do, with a simple, almost innocent gesture, a thumb extended, a hopeful smile, trust in the kindness of strangers. But in early 1970s Sonoma County, that gesture became a death sentence. A predator cruised the sunlit highways hunting for young women and girls who vanished after accepting a ride, only to be found later, discarded in remote corners. The Santa Rosa Hitchhiker Murders shattered the illusion of safety, weaving horror into the fabric of youthful freedom. Between 1972 and 1973, at least 7 victims, ages 12 to 23, were taken. Media group, old yearbook photo of teenage girl, vintage portrait of 1970s young woman at stock at distribute_equally, Maureen Sterling, Yvonne Weber, Lori Cursa, Carolyn Davis, Kim Allen, Teresa Walsh, and one unidentified young woman. They were daughters, sisters, friends, their futures erased with chilling precision. This was not the work of a frenzied killer but a meticulous monster who followed a script. Each victim was hitchhiking, a common practice then, and the killer exploited this trust with ruthless efficiency. He sought them out, driving with purpose, scanning for the vulnerable. The community, once defined by vineyards and quiet charm, was plunged into fear. Every passing car became a potential threat, the open road, a geography of dread. Parents set curfews, suspicion clouded the landscape, but the killer remained a phantom. He left behind broken lives, and a question that would echo for decades. Who was the man behind the wheel? The shadow he cast still lingers, a warning etched into Sonoma County's memory. With no fingerprints, no witnesses, and no name, investigators turned to psychological profiling to glimpse the killer's mind. The profile revealed not a wild-eyed maniac but someone terrifyingly ordinary, organized, intelligent, and able to charm his victims. He likely had a murder kit ready, acted with confidence, and blended seamlessly into the community. This was a man who craved power and control, dominating his victims in their final moments. The violence was ritualistic, a performance where he was the sole director. Profilers believed he was local, intimately familiar with Sonoma County's back roads and hidden ravines. He moved with the confidence of someone who belonged, using the landscape as his ally. He knew where to commit his crimes in secret and how to disappear without a trace. The killer's mask of normalcy hid a monstrous double life. He was likely your neighbor, your co-worker, the man at the coffee shop, utterly unremarkable yet capable of unimaginable evil. The blueprint was clear, a predator hiding in plain sight. Every predator has a hunting ground, and for the Santa Rosa killer, it was the web of roads threading Sonoma County, with Highway 101 as its dark artery. This was no random territory, it was chosen for opportunity and concealment. The killer knew which on-ramps teemed with hitchhikers and which desolate turnoffs swallowed screams. Victims were found in remote, nearly inaccessible places, down embankments, in creek beds, hidden by dense chaparral. These sites delayed discovery and showed his contempt, discarding lives like trash. He moved with the assurance of a local, perhaps a hunter, fisherman, or someone who simply loved the countryside. Innocent activities gave him cover to scout locations and understand rural patterns. The landscape became his accomplice, helping him evade detection. By turning the symbol of hitchhiking into a death trap, he waged war on youthful freedom. The open road, once a symbol of adventure, became a corridor of fear. For a generation, trust was poisoned, and every ride became a gamble with fate. The killer was not an opportunist, he was a selector, targeting young female hitchhikers. By choosing hitchhikers, he preyed on those already taking a risk, exploiting their trust. A young woman on the roadside was isolated and dependent, instantly handing him power. He didn't need to force entry or stage a public abduction, his victims walked willingly into his trap. He could appear kind or fatherly, but once inside the car, the power imbalance was absolute. The youth of his victims, some as young as 12, revealed his need to dominate the defenseless. He sought those he could easily overpower, both physically and psychologically. This selection exposed his own cowardice and need for control. Society's victim-blaming attitudes may have fueled his rationalizations, dehumanizing his victims. To him, they were objects, not people, a narrative that absolved him and allowed the cycle to continue. His predatory methodology was as much about psychology as opportunity. The victims were almost always found nude, their clothing and belongings missing. To a profiler, this wasn't just evidence disposal, it was trophy taking. The killer collected souvenirs, psychological anchors to relive his crimes and savor his dominance. Stripping victims degraded and dehumanized them, erasing their identities. But taking their possessions preserved a tangible link to his moment of power. Hidden away, these trophies fueled his fantasies and ego, building the urge to kill again. This behavior marked him as an organized, fantasy-driven predator. The crime continued in his mind, replayed with the help of his grim collection. These items were his private shrine, never shown, always hidden. The taking of jewelry echoed other infamous killers, revealing a need to possess and control. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a collector, and understanding this compulsion was key to his profile. Each trophy was a piece of stolen life kept as a dark reminder of his power. The Santa Rosa killer's most maddening trait was his ability to leave behind nothing. In a pre-DNA era, investigators relied on fingerprints, fibers, and witnesses, but he left no trace. He was a ghost, vanishing back into society after each crime. This was no accident. It was the work of a careful, forensically aware predator. By luring victims into his car, he controlled the environment, eliminating chaos and witnesses. Bodies were dumped in remote locations, exposed to the elements, erasing evidence. He likely wore gloves, cleaned his vehicle meticulously, and chose methods that left little forensic trace. Every step was calculated to create a dead end for investigators. He was disciplined, patient, and never confided in anyone. The lack of evidence spoke to his chilling competence and to the frustration of law enforcement. The most dangerous monsters, it seems, are the ones who know how to stay invisible. For nearly 50 years, the Santa Rosa killer was a faceless specter. Until 2024, when Sierra Barter named her late step-grandfather Jim Mordecai as a suspect. Mordecai, who died in 2008, fit the profile manipulative, violent, with a history of sexual abuse and a chilling habit of hog-tying women, mirroring the victim's bindings. He kept a collection of women's jewelry, possibly trophies, and knew Sonoma County intimately. Barter turned over his belongings for DNA testing, but as of June 2025, no conclusive link has been found. The revelation opened a new chapter, but the case remains unsolved. The story grew darker when Mordecai's son was convicted of child sex abuse, hinting at generational trauma. Was Jim Mordecai the killer? For now, he remains a deeply disturbing person of interest, a ghost in a family album. Decades of mystery created a vacuum filled with theories and infamous suspects. Ted Bundy's name loomed large, handsome, charming, active in the same era, and targeting young women. For years, many believed he could be the Santa Rosa killer, but police ruled him out with solid evidence. Other suspects included Lawrence Singleton, the Zodiac Killer, and Rodney Alcala, each considered for their crimes or trophy-taking habits. Theories abounded, fueled by the public's need to impose order on chaos. But the truth likely points to someone far less notorious, a local man, unremarkable and hidden in plain sight. He wasn't a celebrity monster, but a nobody whose evil was known only to his victims. The real horror is that he was just a man, living among the community, his darkness invisible. The endless speculation distracts from the chilling reality. The killer was likely someone ordinary. The echo chamber of suspects reflects our fear of the unknown and our hope for answers, but the shadow remains unresolved. More than 50 years later, the Santa Rosa Hitchhiker Murders still haunt Sonoma County. The victims' names are etched into the region's history, reminders of innocence lost and safety shattered. For families, time brings no closure, only the ache of unanswered questions. Each new lead or documentary rekindles hope and pain, reopening old wounds. The killer was never caught, his secrets perhaps buried with him. The case highlights the challenges of pre-DNA investigations and the limits of profiling. It endures as a cautionary tale. Monsters can look like anyone, and trust can be deadly. Until the question is answered, the ghost of a man in a car will haunt the open road.